Okay, today I'm going to show you the introduction to Google Sites. Google Apps for EDU allows you to have Google Sites and create your own website for your classroom or maybe for your students to use, maybe for a student portfolio. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use a Google site within the context of a classroom. So we're just going to sign in here, and you sign into your email, that works as well. And then you're going to go up and find Sites on your toolbar. And when you come into Google Sites, there's really not a lot here. It shows you the sites that you've already created, so it'll give you a list of sites that you have. So maybe you have 2 or 3 sites. It'll list them all here. So a couple things about your sites. It gives you the title, the link, the different tags and categories that you set up, and the share settings. So this one is shared with everyone in the world, so everyone can see it and access it and learn from it, hopefully. There's also information down here called Browse Sites. So when I select this, it brings up a list of categories. So depending on your permissions that you've given on your site, we can, and the categories you've given, you can search different sites. So if I want to see what's going on in world history, I can see who's set up a world history site. If I want to look at studio art, I can see who's done that. There's one here for libraries, so I can see that there's a GD library set up. English, I can see what English classes are working on different sites. So this is a way in which you can kind of browse different websites and get some ideas and possibly learn from each other and seeing what everyone's sharing and posting on their teacher websites. So let's go back up to My Sites and let's go to Create. And from the beginning, we can do 2 things. We can select a template. You can do a blank template, or you can browse from the gallery. My suggestion is to start with a blank template. Reason being is the gallery is great to browse to see what you can do with a Google site, and there's a lot you can do. But when you select that as your main template, it's kind of like buying a house with the furniture already in it, but you only like half the furniture, and you have to spend time taking that ugly furniture out and then replacing it with stuff that you want. So that's kind of time consuming, as opposed to when you start with a blank template, you can just start from the beginning. It's all blank, but you can go right into it and create it however you want. So the next thing you want to do is name your site. So let's call it okay. As you do that, your URL or your link extension will build. You can actually create a different one. You can edit that link if you want to just call it history class or Marcinic history. You can do that as well. You can come down here and select the theme, and a theme will just be the kind of the page style that will be consistent throughout your website. So let's just keep this simple, and let's say I don't want to spend too much time. We'll do that, and then below that there are more options. And this is important. So if you want your site to be searchable, not only by your colleagues, but if you want students to be able to quickly find your site by categories, you can do that. So if I'm teaching American history, for example, I can have as a category or a tag, American history. I can have my name, and I could have maybe the grade level, and I could just have the word history as a general topic. You can give the site a description if you want. This will give everyone a kind of a quick summary of what your site is all about, but you're not required to do that by any means. Once we have all that information in place, we hit create. Oops, looks like I've got to change our title, so we'll just do. That was basically telling me here that I was using the same URL as someone else in the district, so just change that. It'll take a moment to create our site, and we are then brought to our main site. A couple things you want to take into consideration. So if you're building this site, you don't want it to be public yet. Maybe you want to kind of have it as under construction. the first thing you want to do is come over to the share settings. And if you just hover your mouse over the blue box there, you can see that this is shared with people at Groton Dunstable Regional Schools can find and access this site. When that says access, all they can do is view it. They can't change it, they can't do anything to it. So much like a Google Doc, you have share settings on a site. So when I click share, it brings me to the share permissions. Down here it says who has access. If I want to change that, there are a couple things here. So private means that it's pretty much locked down. No one can access it unless I invite them. People at GDRSD with link, that means that I have to give out the link and my site is not searchable through categories. Anybody here, this is the default, so this means anybody in our school district can find and access it. And anyone with link in the world, so if you have parents you want to see the site, you'll want to use this option so that parents won't have to sign in to see the site and they can see it beyond our school. But it won't be searchable within Google's search browser. And public on the web is the most liberal category, and it means everyone in the world can search, see, and find your site. So let's say, for example, you want to build this site with 3 of your colleagues. So say the 4th grade team. When you select private, you want to hit save, and then you can invite people to help you build the site, which means all they have to do is log in and they can add to it. They can build it with you collaboratively. So you would invite people. So say I'm going to build this with Phyllis and Gary, and then this is an important piece as well. So I can give them access to just edit the site. So if I want to give them permissions to edit, I want to make sure it's edit. If I just want them to see what I'm doing or what I'm building, I can give them view. But let's make sure they can edit, share and save, and then they would be able to edit this site with me. I can go back and toggle these throughout, so if I don't want them to change settings, I can go back and do that as the owner of this site. You can also do this as students, so if you're inviting students to build the site with you, or maybe students are building a site collectively and you're a part of it, eventually maybe you want to give them a time cap where they can't put any more information on, like it's cut off. So you can just switch to view only at that time, and then students wouldn't be able to add any more information to it. And you can just as easily delete people from the site who you've added so that they can't do any more, make any more changes. Okay, and we'll go back to the website name. And there's a couple things here. One is edit the page. So when you select that, your page becomes editable. Notice that you get your editing toolbar up here, and you can begin to type anywhere in the box. Okay. You can do all kind of functions with the text. Make it bigger, change the type, bold, italics, underline. You can make it red. You can make it a link. You can add bullets, numbers, indent, center, so on and so forth. So there's a lot you can do. Pretty much all of the editing the functionality is there. The other thing you can do is within layout. So layout allows you to add different columns for different content that you want to add. So let's just say, for example, we want to do 2 column. Notice that we get a page break here, and so maybe we want to add text here, just a welcome note from us, the teacher, and then maybe we want to insert a calendar here, or a form, or a picture. You can do that later on. We'll show you how to do that. Anytime you make changes to a page, you need to go up here and hit save. And once I hit save, notice that my content stays the same. And this is how everyone will see it when they come to the page. This over here is the new page button. When I select new page, I can create a page that'll put into my sidebar categories. So let's just make this for a syllabus. And you can make different types of pages, but for example, we're just going to, for this purpose, we're just going to use web page. And we're going to leave it at the top level. and hit create. And once we do that, it brings us to the page we just created. And if we want to add our syllabus, we can bring it in as a file, or we could bring it in as an embeddable Google Doc, which I'll show you in another video. Once we're done, we hit save, and notice that over here, I can go home, and I can go to my syllabus now. So as I add pages, I can build them in over here, which is really nice. Over here where it says more, it gives you a lot of options. So more will give you ways in which you can do a lot of different things, and this is kind of like your gateway to the control panel of your entire site. And we'll go over some more of these in some other videos. But that's your basic introduction on how to create